Marginalization in Latin America by Jayanja, Lewis, Tanasia, Ladasha, Kashina, and Tatiana. Now, before we get into marginalization in Latin America, let's just go over what marginalization means. Marginalization is when you treat others as insignificant, as if they have no purpose in life, or as if they're an outsider trying to fit in. Specifically in this photo, there is a man pointed out for many reasons. One may being because he is black, or because he is being rejected by the others. And the others, not to mention, are white, which means he is marginalized from this specific group. Marginalization doesn't just happen with one person being segregated against. It can also be with a group of people being segregated against, such as Christianity being superior to many other religions such as Judaism. Christianity is looked upon as superior, whereas Judaism is marginalized because of what society has made it. Now that you know what marginalization is, let's take it back to Latin America, specifically with religion. In Latin America, majority are Catholics, and it's pretty similar here in the United States. But back on the topic of Latin America, 40% of the population is Catholic, which means the religious taboos are going to be thriving to convert and make a homogeneous society. Now, the only reason this is bad is because everyone must be the same. Everyone must have the same customs of life. Everyone must wake up and go to sleep with the same religious taboos of being with a woman if you are a male and vice versa. In this specific example, a 26-year-old man who is Peruvian and gay was arrested by police officers while heading home shortly after midnight. Now, just because he's gay means that he is marginalized. Remember that marginalization made this Peruvian gay man segregated against, made him seem as if he was doing something wrong. Now, because he was going home shortly after midnight, throughout the 6 hours, he was in police custody, he says. Now, he was being verbally and physically abused. He was stripped down, raped with a baton. He was abused by police officers through those 6 hours before even being let go. This proves that Peru, just like many other countries in Latin America, people aren't accepted because of their sexuality, and this has been caused because of religion. The Catholic taboos mean that men must marry women, and women must reproduce with their men.
And tell me that God doesn't care for us. It is Him I love. It is Him I love.
Not only were the LGBT community marginalized, but so were the Afro-Mexicans, which leads us to the topic of racism. In Mexico, there were Mexicans that took deep pride in their African descent. They called themselves Afro-Mexicans. The Afro-Mexicans weren't even a part of the national census just until 2015. Just to prove to you that Afro-Mexicans were fighting for their culture and their history, let's hear Miss Albaran talk about her Afro-Mexican descent and her culture.
Y de hecho, también siempre había querido ser blanca, pero actualmente pues me di cuenta que la piel morena es bonita y sobre todo que sí, hay personas que se ven bien incluso con su color.
Another important topic to discuss when it comes to marginalization is gender roles.
Gender roles are behavioral norms that a society has for men and women. In Mexico, these gender roles are shown by the women being inferior to men. Men were expected to go out and go to work, while the women were just supposed to stay in the house, take care of the children. The women were supposed to be passive and more compliant to their husbands, while the husbands could be more aggressive and have more power in the household. A man would be free to go outside any time of the night without anyone, and no one would say anything. But if a woman went out without a man, then she would be extremely ridiculed by anyone outside because that wasn't accepted in Mexico. a man would be free to go out and drink excessively and maybe come home and cheat on his wife or beat on his wife, and the wife would have to just deal with it. She really wouldn't be able to say anything because she's inferior to her husband and he could do whatever he wants. This is Mexico's views on gender roles.
Another topic to discuss is the 6 social classes in Mexico, which were segregated by power and money. We'll start by the highest, which were the peninsulares, the uppermost social class of the Mexican social hierarchy. These were the richest people who had the most power. They were powerful. After them comes the white Mexicans, the people who had descendants of Spanish, and they had some European descent. After them came the Criollos. This is where the power and wealth starts to lower. They were born in America with a Spanish lifestyle. After them came the Mestizos. These people had little to no economic political rights. Mestizos weren't the lowest though. Amerindians were the native descendants, the lowest level of the Mexico social hierarchy. The poorest in terms of ability to have power, financing, anything they wanted to do was very hard because of how perverted and segregated and marginalized they were.
The beginning of immigration began in 1890s. Like any other human being, they left to escape crimes, drugs, corruption, and even troubled economies. I don't know why this would be a problem, but they see it is. But on that note, this concludes the marginalization in Latin America.